Welcome to Stand Up and Redo with Petra DeMusz, the podcast where transformation isn't just possible, it's inevitable. If you've ever felt stuck, weighed down by past choices, or like life's chapters have been written in ink, think again. Here, we believe every day is a fresh page, and you hold the pen. We're diving deep into real stories, bold insights, and life-shifting strategies to help you stand up, shake off the old, and rewrite your narrative with power and purpose. Ready to rise? Let's get started. Every time you meet someone on a dating site, if there's any way you're going to be interested in them, you go through this whole process of explaining your life and telling your story, and then they do the same thing for you. They explain their life, they tell their story, and I'm not rolling my eyes to be disrespectful. I'm rolling my eyes because it's exhausting. And right now I just need I just need a break from that kind of dating. But I do want to talk about dating, especially as an older person, my age, who's 55. And I often get mistaken for a younger person too. So when I'm out and about, a lot of times I'll have a younger guy than what I am try to pick me up. And then when they find out how old I am, their whole thought process changes. And I think it might be the way I present myself to them. Like instead of just confidently saying to like a younger person, I'm 54, I go, oh, I'm too old for you. And I immediately put myself into this place of being older. But I think if I just didn't care about it, it would change their thought process about me. Honestly, I don't think I would want to be with a much younger man. And when I say younger, probably like more than 5 years younger, because I do think there's that generation of maybe 5 years where you're still kind of like the same. You grew up in the same decades. But I think when you get between 5 and 10 years, there's a difference in the things that you remember when you were younger and the experiences that you've had due to the decades that you grew up. If you grew up in the 70s versus the 80s versus the 90s, you're just different kind of drive, a different kind of experiences that created you to be a different kind of person. And it's true. People from the 80s are people who grew up in the 90s, who grew up in the 2000s. I think that whole generation, just the way the economy was, the way the world was, the presidents that we had, what our political structure was like during that time, what kind of working environment there were for our parents. Just there's so many differences, and it's kind of molded us all to be the way that we are now. And I think dating is something that you have to think about with age, particularly the kind of person that you want to be with. If you don't mind those differences, if the kind of partner that you want to have someday doesn't matter to you, if you have similarities, that's your prerogative, right? Both ways. But I want to talk about gut. I do feel like as I'm watching dating podcasts, and I've been watching a lot, listening to them as I drive, they're all really opinionated on how you should date. And I think it's hilarious because it puts so much pressure on us. Hearing as you're driving down the road a podcast, if you say these 3 words to a man, you'll have them forever. If you are mean to a man, if you're nice to a man, if you're this way or you're that way, this is how you get them. It's almost like trapping a person. And that's not the way that I want to go with dating. But getting back to gut, when you're dating, there's 3 parts that come forward in that date or that attraction. And how you move forward with dating a person is directly related to what you're leading with. If you're leading with your gut, your heart, or that lusty physical attraction. And I do believe that all 3 play a huge part, and all 3 encompass more. If you think about your gut is that intuition that this person maybe isn't for you. And you might overlook that intuition because you just have this lusty physical attraction to them. And, because of that lusty physical attraction, the way they smell, the way they look, the way their skin is, you overlook the fact that maybe they don't align with your values or your hopes and dreams. They don't even align with some of the smallest things that you like that are so important to you, but you're so fixated on the way that they look, smell, feel, or the way that you feel this
passionate love for them, this desire to like care for them and truly you could fall deeply in love with them, have nothing to do with the physical attraction, could just be truly love. But you're ignoring that gut, which is telling you maybe they're too old for you or too young for you, or they're too controlling, or you already know that they don't even like some of the most simplest things that you like, but you're overlooking that. You're all passionate and romantic for this man or woman, and you're so in love with them. But yet they can't even sit with you and watch a sunset or a sunrise when that's something you like to do maybe 5 days a week. And they can't even take a moment to pause, to stop and even be with you while you do that, then that would be a big red flag. But we overlook the little things like that. I do think as you get older, it is harder to find a person because you realize at the age that I am, when you're 54, what the most important, insignificant little thing is in the course of your day that brings you joy. Like for me, it truly is stopping for a minute and looking at the moon when it's full, or standing outside and watching the sunset for 5 minutes just to stand there and watch it rise. But if you're with a partner who doesn't acknowledge that that's something that you love, and even if they've never thought of doing it ever, even for a moment, doesn't stand to be with you when you do something as simple as that, but yet you're so infatuated with this person's physical look, how great you make out, what a wonderful kiss they have, and you're overlooking these things that seem insignificant, but are not. That's those little things that are so important in a relationship. And that's where the gut part is. The gut is like realizing that as you're dating this person, they're not in alignment with even the smallest thing that you might like to do. And I think of something as small as being a cat lady, or in my situation, being a plant lady. If you meet a partner who hates cats, and you have 4 or 5 cats, and you're like, well, I'll just take care of the cats and he doesn't have to worry about the cats. That's a big deal. It sounds silly, but these little things, like even plants, like I have a ton of plants and I love my plants. I water my plants. It would mean so much to me if a person came in and said, oh my gosh, I see you have a lime tree. And I know saying, oh my gosh, I see you have a lime tree, it seems like such an insignificant thing, but that's a turn on. And that is the type of thing that you need to notice about a person. And you do, like if you share something with someone and they don't put any value in it, or they just don't listen to what you're saying and they immediately start talking about something else, that's your gut. Your gut is telling you to slow down and stop. Or if you have a faith in Christ and you read your Bible every morning and they don't even have the ability to understand what faith is or have any kind of belief in God, that's a huge red flag, a huge red flag. You have to go with your gut. Or maybe if you have like a great big K, or they have a great big 401k and you have no money saved and have never thought about saving money and feel like it's the least important thing to do, vice versa. Or say you have an Alexa in every single one of your rooms and you enjoy having that like connection with the internet and with being always tuned into, I call it tuned into the matrix, where you want to like look at Ziggy and say, hey Ziggy, what's the weather like today? And that person is like terrified of anything like that. And they feel like it's invading upon their privacy. Maybe that's not a person for you. And it sounds like these are such insignificant things, but they're not. I think they're really important. And I know that people have to be different. And I know that people have to have different likes, but I think most things do have to align. And if you don't want that kind of relationship, and make sure when you're dating a person that you tell them, look, I don't really need to spend every day with you. I could just meet you once a week for dinner and be perfectly happy. But make sure you tell them that right away. Don't pretend you're going to do anything other than want to meet them once a week for dinner. And I actually went on a date with this guy, and I don't want to talk about my own dating as much because I don't want to make any guys that I'm dating feel uncomfortable. But I will tell you something that this guy, and I don't even know when you hear this, if we will still be dating. I kind of hope so because I really like him, but even if not, that's okay. But he did something that I thought was really fun. We created a Venn diagram, and the Venn diagram, it actually gave me a lot of insight to what his needs were in a relationship in a simplistic way. Because I just said to him, I asked him a question. I said, all right, well, as we're working on this Venn diagram together, I said, what do you want your Venn diagram to look like in the end? And I was like, when you think about a Venn diagram, you have two giant circles. Here's my circle, the Petra circle, and here's the man's circle. Right? They're going to come and overlap. And then the parts of two circles that overlap are going to be like shaped kind of like this, like, the points at the top. Draw one of these. My listeners aren't going to be able to see it, but on my YouTube channel, I'll draw a Venn diagram for you. Well, if you think about a Venn diagram, you could have these two giant circles that are just barely touching and just have this little tiny space with just a little tiny bit in there that's alike. Or you could have these two circles that are like almost completely overlapping with just two little like moon strips on either side of the things that are different. I asked him, what do you want your Venn diagram to look like? He sent me a picture. And it was so neat. And it gave me insight to the kind of partner that he wants. He obviously wants a partner that is aligned with him, that likes to do a lot of the same things that he likes to do. Because his Venn diagram was the portion of all the things that the two people share. And the two outside portions were just these little slivers of like moons. So to me, that meant that he wanted to really align with his partner and have a lot of common, similar things. Now, if I had felt afraid of that or thought, wow, I really don't want to be that much into a person. I want to have my own self be just like so separate from them and just kind of just touch the Venn diagram and just have a couple things with them that I like. And, still have this huge amount of autonomy and they have this huge amount of autonomy. And then we just kind of like kiss in the middle every so often, which is a relationship that some people would like. Well, I like the Venn diagram where my person is all about being a partner with me, where we actually do a lot of things together, that we share a lot of the same similarities. Of course, we're going to have things that are very different. But to me, that's not the relationship I want. I want one where the Venn diagram is just the two little slivers on the side. So I feel like if you can discuss the Venn diagram right off the bat, it really gives you a lot of insight to what that person wants from you. And then the neatest thing is and again, I don't know if we're just dating, whatever happens, it is what it is, right? But what I was thinking, the way that we're doing the Venn diagram is we're not just making assumptions. Anything that we're putting in the Venn diagram is like kind of, we know we like to do it. Maybe I'll give you an example. We both know that we both like to hike. So we put that in the center. And already dogs, we both like dogs. Boom, right in the center. So, it sounds like a silly thing, but remember in the beginning when I said your gut, if you're finding that this person doesn't like sunsets, they don't like plants, they don't like dogs, you're going to start putting those things in the outside of the Venn diagram. And then you might see that there's very little room or very little similarities between the two of you. And it seems like these similarities are so insignificant, but they're not. They are not insignificant at all. And I'm going to give you a story. And I'm going to talk about one guy that I dated who I was actually in a relationship with. And it didn't work out. And I don't know if he loved me. I know how I felt about him. I won't even pretend to know if he loved me or didn't. It doesn't matter because it didn't work out, right? But he did display love to me. And when we were together for that time, I had never been with anybody like him before. I had never been with someone who enjoyed doing the things that I like to do so much. And it was almost like, wow, where'd this come from? And it was things that I like to do. And I know he liked to do too. We both loved to walk to get to places. We didn't need to take an Uber everywhere or drive. We could actually take a mile walk just to get to a restaurant. We both loved coffee and we would spend a significant amount of time going to a special cafe or making our own coffee at home. We did a lot of projects together too, which was really fun. Now, there were some things that I enjoyed that I missed. Like I loved to watch a really good movie and he never would watch movies. So that was a little bit hard for me to get used to. But what I want to say is after having that relationship, even though it's over and I'm not pining for that relationship, trust me, when I'm talking about it, I'm using this as an example and like a story to you. I had this relationship with this man and it actually gave me insight over 50, finally, dated a man that made me realize the kind of man I want to be with, a man that does like to do the same things I like to do. Because that was really special to me. And I have been like an avid bike rider. It is really joyful to see these couples that are hanging out with us who truly do enjoy the same thing. And it's a big part of your life. If you're a bike rider, when you go for a bike ride, you're out there for an hour or 2 hours. So if you're doing that like 2 or 3 times a week, that's a significant amount of time. So I'm not saying that just because your spouse doesn't like to do exactly what you like to do the most doesn't mean that you won't have common areas. But as I'm getting older, I'm realizing what I would cherish in a relationship. That's not the relationship that I want. And that might be the relationship that someone else wants. And that's why you talk about that. And that's what your gut is for. That's what your gut is for, because your gut can notice those things as you're becoming infatuated with some hot guy or hot girl. You might reel it back and think, whoa, wait a minute. I got the hots for this guy. I got all my lady parts are like on fire, but whoa, this guy doesn't have any respect for my faith, or this guy refuses to ever sit down and take a moment to watch a sunset or a sunrise, or this guy doesn't like dogs. He hates them. He's mean to them. Like those little things are important, and that's where your gut comes in. But the most important thing in a relationship is the gut. Come on, gut, get up here. And then all of a sudden it starts like, whoa, this guy doesn't like dogs. Whoa, this girl doesn't like to watch the sunset. Whoa, this person isn't kind to other people. All these little things that you should have right in the front. And I do feel like, I won't get into talking about the heart and the lady parts, but I feel like you can pull the heart and the lady parts in later, and things might be okay. But if you pull the gut in later, things are going to go down the tubes. You have to have your gut up there with you right from the beginning. And that's why I'm going to get more into taking a practical approach to dating and thinking practically. And we're going to talk about the other parts too, because they're the more fun parts. But so gut, heart, lady parts, and my stand up and redo is that I have learned through much heartbreak, through trauma, through pain and agony, that your gut is the most important part in dating. And guess what's leading with me? My gut. And that's what's leading. So thanks for listening to my podcast. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel. And you're going to see me play around with this YouTube channel a lot because I'm just starting it. I want to do some very professional style interviews with people that are going to be valuable for you to hear. It's going to be coming from the perspective of me, a 54-year-old woman, but it's going to be for all age people, of course. But it is going to be geared mostly towards women, but also for anyone that has an interest. And the topics are going to be very broad, but are all going to be related to standing up and redoing, to realizing that you might have made a mistake in the past, or that you didn't do things exactly the way you should have, but you've learned, and you're going to do things different. You're going to stand up and you're going to redo. And thank you.
Hi, I'd like to give credit to Sarah Gephardt for the cover page of this podcast. This podcast is a work based on the personal experiences, reflections, and memories of the speaker. The events described are true to the best of the speaker's knowledge and recollection. Some names, locations, identifying characteristics, and timelines have been changed or altered to protect the privacy of the individuals involved. In some cases, composite characters have been created or dialogue has been reconstructed based on memory. The intention of this podcast is not to defame, malign, or harm any individual or entity. Rather, it is to share the speaker's journey with honesty, vulnerability, and integrity. Any opinions expressed are solely those of the speaker and are not intended as statements of fact regarding any person, group, or organization. Listeners should keep in mind that human memory is inherently subjective and selective, and while every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, this podcast reflects the speaker's perspective and truth. Thank you.